It often strikes me, think about participating in a clinical trial. It sounds so important, potentially life-changing, right?
Absolutely. Access to cutting-edge treatments.
But then you hit the reality. Maybe the research center is hours away.
Uh-huh. A huge barrier for many.
Or just trying to fit appointments into, well, normal life. It can feel almost impossible.
The logistics can be overwhelming, and that's before you even consider people with health issues that make travel hard in the first place.
Exactly. But what if? What if that whole system is starting to change?
Ah, you're leading into it.
Yeah. What if joining important medical research became, I don't know, fundamentally easier, more accessible?
That's precisely what we're diving into today, this real shift towards telemedicine and decentralized clinical trials.
A revolution, you could almost call it?
I think that's fair. It could genuinely reshape who gets to be part of medical progress and who benefits from it.
So today, we're digging deep. We want to understand this move, how telemedicine and these decentralized trials are opening doors.
Exactly. We'll get into the practical side of things, the logistics, the nuts and bolts.
The technology that makes it possible.
Definitely. And importantly, the rules, the regulations that are adapting around these new approaches will be drawing on real-world insights and literature to paint a clear picture.
And for everyone listening, our goal is straightforward. Give you a solid grasp of this evolution without getting lost in the weeds. We want you to have that aha moment.
Understanding what's changing and why it really matters.
So let's jump in. How exactly does this promise to broaden participation work? Where does it start?
Well, traditionally, clinical trials, they've mostly relied on people who could easily get to specific research sites. For decades, that's just how it was done.
Right. Proximity was key.
Proximity, ability to travel, flexible schedules, it created inherent limits, geographical limits, logistical limits.
And that means the participants might not fully represent everyone with the condition.
Precisely. You end up with a participant pool that might be skewed. It wasn't necessarily intentional exclusion, but kind of a side effect of the model.
A consequence, yeah.
Yeah.
And the literature does highlight this, doesn't it? Issues around how well treatments might work across different groups if the trial wasn't diverse enough?
Exactly right. There's a core principle in trial design justice, making sure the burdens and the benefits are shared fairly. Decentralized approaches directly tackle those old barriers.
By removing the need to constantly travel to one specific place.
Yes. Historically, that lack of diversity sometimes meant we didn't fully understand how a treatment worked for everyone. Maybe side effects popped up later in groups that weren't well represented.
So decentralized trials offer a path to fix that, to get broader, more representative data.
That's the hope, a real chance to fill those knowledge gaps.
Okay, so telemedicine is a huge part of this. Let's break that down. In a clinical trial context, what does telemedicine actually involve?
Right. So telemedicine at its core is just using technology to deliver healthcare remotely. For trials, this takes many forms.
Like a video call instead of an office visit.
Exactly. A virtual check-in with the investigator on a secure platform.
Mm.
Or think about remote monitoring. Maybe a participant wears a sensor that sends heart rate or activity data straight to the research team. Even things like filling out symptom diaries or questionnaires online instead of on paper. That's all part of it.
So a lot of the interaction and data gathering can happen without the participant leaving home.
Yes, which is, as you can imagine, a massive plus for the participants.
Oh, absolutely. Less travel time, less money spent on gas or parking or hotels.
Less disruption to their work, their family life. It lowers the burden significantly.
Especially for someone, say, managing a chronic condition where frequent trips are just exhausting.
Absolutely. Telemedicine lets them stay connected, get guidance, provide data, but without that heavy physical and logistical toll.
Of course, the tech needs to be solid.
Yeah.
Secure platforms, reliable devices.
It's non-negotiable. You need secure communication to protect privacy, and you need monitoring tools that are accurate and dependable. That infrastructure is key.
Makes sense. Okay, so that's telemedicine bringing the interaction home. Now, decentralized clinical trials, DCTs. That sounds even broader.
It is. DCTs take that concept of remote participation, well, potentially all the way.
So not just the interaction, but the whole trial process.
Some or even all of it, yeah.
Yeah.
The idea is to move trial activities away from that single central research hospital or clinic.
And bring them closer to the participant.
Exactly, often right into their home or maybe using local clinics or labs near them. It's all about maximizing convenience and accessibility.
Okay, paint me a picture. How does someone actually do a DCT?
Okay, imagine this. Someone finds a trial online. They review all the information. ask questions remotely, and then sign the consent form electronically. Securely, of course.
Right. No paper forms mailed back and forth.
Then, instead of a paper diary, they might use a smartphone app. Log symptoms daily, answer quick surveys, that's electronic data capture, or EPRO, patient-reported outcomes.
Okay, makes sense. What about medication?
Could be shipped directly to their house, temperature-controlled, tracked delivery.
Wow. And if they need, say, a blood draw?
That's where local options come in. Maybe a visiting nurse comes to their home.
Really?
Or they could go to a designated local clinic or lab nearby, all coordinated by the main research team.
So the central team still manages everything, but the activities are distributed.
Precisely. And we're seeing more use of wearables, too. Sensors tracking vital signs, sleep, activity, continuously.
That gives much richer data than just snapshots during clinic visits, I bet.
A much more dynamic picture, absolutely.
It's easy to see how this could be a game changer for recruitment. People in rural areas, people with mobility issues.
Suddenly, they might be able to participate when it was impossible before.
And keeping people in the trial retention must be easier too if the burden is lower.
Definitely. If it's less disruptive, people are more likely to stick with it for the long haul. It directly tackles those challenges we mentioned right at the start.
It really does. But,
Yeah.
okay, moving things out of the controlled clinic environment, that must create new logistical hurdles, right?
Oh, absolutely. It introduces a whole different set of complexities.
Like, how do you make sure someone is storing their study medication correctly at home if it needs refrigeration?
That's a classic example. It's a very different scenario than managing drug inventory in a specialized research pharmacy. Requires really careful planning.
So decentralization isn't just easier, it's differently complex.
Exactly. The logistical planning for DCTs has to be incredibly detailed. Think about the supply chain for direct-to-patient drug shipments.
Right. Needs to be reliable, secure, maintain temperature.
Yep. And communication is vital. Clear, constant contact between the central team and participants who are miles away.
And making sure people understand how to take the medication, store it, use any devices.
Patient education becomes even more critical. Clear instructions, maybe video guides, reminder systems, perhaps even smart packaging that monitors temperature. Organizations focused on R&D have strict standards, and DCTs need to meet those same levels of quality, just in a distributed way.
What about involving local doctors or nurses? How does the main team ensure everyone's doing procedures the same way, collecting data consistently?
That requires really strong coordination, clear agreements, thorough training for those local healthcare professionals on the specific study protocols.
So they become extensions of the research team, in a way.
In a way, yes. They need the right training, the right resources, and clear communication channels back to the central team to ensure data quality and consistency, no matter where the procedure happens. It's like conducting an orchestra remotely.
That's a good analogy. It highlights the coordination needed. Now, technology. We keep coming back to it. It feels like the absolute engine here.
It really is the backbone. These models just wouldn't work without the tech.
So we're talking video conferencing.
Secure, reliable, easy-to-use video calls for those virtual visits.
Wearable sensors.
Gathering continuous physiological data, heart rate, activity, sleep, sometimes more complex things depending on the trial.
Mobile apps.
For everything from consent to reporting symptoms to getting reminders to messaging the study team, making it easy for the participant.
And presumably a way to pull all this disparate data together. Electronic health records.
Well, while our sources don't explicitly detail the EHR link in this specific context, logically, yes. Integrating data from wearables, apps, local labs, virtual visits into a central, secure electronic record system is pretty essential for managing the trial and understanding the participant's journey.
And underpinning all of this tech, security and privacy have to be front and center.
Paramount. Absolutely paramount. Protecting participant data, ensuring confidentiality. It's foundational for trust and for regulatory compliance.
Speaking of regulations, is the regulatory world keeping up with this rapid shift? Are bodies like the FDA on board?
They are definitely adapting. Regulatory agencies recognize the potential here, broadening access, making trials more efficient.
So they see the benefits.
Yes. While there might not be one single document covering everything yet, they're interpreting existing rules and developing new guidance specifically for these remote and decentralized approaches. The fact that FDA guidance is generally available online shows a move towards transparency and adapting as the field evolves.
So it's not the Wild West, but more like adapting the existing road rules for new types of vehicles.
That's a decent way to put it. The core principles remain, but how they apply in a decentralized setting needs clarification.
And what are the big things regulators focus on with DCTs?
Key areas are definitely data integrity. How can we be sure the data collected remotely is accurate and reliable?
Makes sense.
Patient safety, obviously. How do you monitor participants effectively when they aren't coming in regularly? How do you catch adverse events quickly?
Right, critical.
And compliance. How do you ensure the trial follows the protocol ethically and scientifically when activities are spread out geographically?
Yeah, maintaining that scientific rigor is crucial, no matter the model. Which leads us naturally to challenges. It can't all be smooth sailing. What are the main bumps in the road?
There are definitely challenges. Ensuring data quality from lots of different remote sources, different devices, different user inputs. That's complex.
And potential inconsistencies.
Exactly. Then there's the digital divide, or digital literacy. We can't just assume everyone is comfortable with smartphones, apps, wearables, or even has reliable internet access.
That's a really important point. You don't want to solve one access problem only to create another one based on tech skills.
Precisely. And keeping people engaged, making sure they stick to the protocol when you don't have that regular face-to-face contact,
Yeah.
that requires different strategies.
More virtual check-ins maybe, better support.
Things like that. Plus, as we touched on, the sheer logistical complexity of managing all the moving parts, drug shipments, local providers, data flows, it's a big organizational lift.
So these models have huge advantages, but also their own unique complexities that need managing. What about mitigating these challenges? How do we make DCTs work well?
A lot of it comes down to thoughtful design and support. Providing really user-friendly technology is key. Simple interfaces, clear instructions.
And tech support readily available if someone gets stuck.
Absolutely. Training and ongoing support are crucial to bridge that digital literacy gap. For data quality, you need robust monitoring systems that can flag unusual patterns or potential issues with remote data.
Being proactive about data checks.
Exactly. And for engagement, personalized communication helps, making sure participants feel connected, understand the why behind the trial, maybe even creating virtual communities for support.
So it's about being adaptive and really focusing on the participant experience, even remotely.
That's a great way to summarize it. Thoughtful, adaptive, participant-centric.
Okay. We have covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. If you had to boil it down, what are the absolute key takeaways on telemedicine and decentralized trials?
I'd say number one, this is a truly transformative shift. It has massive potential to broaden who participates in research, making it more diverse, more representative.
Okay, big picture transformation.
Number two, technology is the great enabler. It makes these remote interactions and data collection possible.
But it's not just about the tech.
No. Which leads to number three. Meticulous planning is essential. Logistics, communication, training. You have to get the operational side right to manage the complexities.
Right. Tech enables, but planning executes.
And finally, the regulatory environment is evolving. There is a focus on ensuring safety, data integrity, and compliance adapt to these new models.
So the real insight, the aha moment for listeners, is maybe understanding how those old barriers, distance, time, inconvenience, are actively being dismantled.
Exactly. What seemed impossible, participating in advanced research from home, is becoming reality.
And the implication is that the research itself gets better, more relevant to more people.
That's the ultimate goal. More inclusive research should lead to treatments that work better for a wider range of the actual patient population, potentially speeding up development.
Which brings us to a final thought, something to chew on. As this tech gets even better and the regulations solidify, could fully remote trials become, well, the norm, not the exception?
That's the big forward-looking question, isn't it?
And if that happens, what does that future look like? What new opportunities or maybe even unforeseen challenges might arise for healthcare and drug development?
It opens up fascinating possibilities. Think about personalized medicine fueled by data from incredibly diverse global populations.
Tailoring treatments like never before.
Or the potential for greater global health equity, breaking down geographical barriers to research participation worldwide.
Huge potential.
But we also need to think about new ethical questions that might pop up, or maybe unexpected limits of technology in a fully remote world. It's definitely a future that's unfolding right now.
A future full of possibilities, and definitely worth keeping an eye on.